All right, let's jump right into one of the most profound and frankly challenging ideas in Mahayana Buddhism. We're going to be exploring an ancient text that lays out this incredible path, a path of compassion that is so vast, its goal is to save every single being from suffering. So our guide for this is a text called the Mahāyāna Sūtra, Sutra, or the Sutra on the Six Perfections. But here's the thing. Before it offers any kind of solution, it starts with a diagnosis of the human condition. It's incredibly direct. And honestly, it's pretty bleak. I mean, it really doesn't pull any punches, does it? The text basically says we are all fundamentally lost, just adrift in this huge ocean of suffering. And this isn't just some ancient metaphor. It's pointing to a feeling that's actually very modern, that kind of existential dread or background anxiety that so many of us feel. It's saying, look, this is a universal problem, and it's going to need a universal solution. So to even begin to understand the cure, we first have to get a really clear picture of the illness. The sutra breaks down this whole sea of suffering into its most essential, unavoidable parts. The text points to four great sufferings that basically frame our whole existence. It starts with birth, which it describes as this traumatic and confusing experience. Then comes old age, the slow, inevitable decay of our strength and our memories. After that, there's sickness, which is always there to remind us just how fragile our bodies are. And then, of course, there's death, the one certainty, the ultimate separation from everything we know and love. The sutra presents this cycle as just an inescapable fact of life. And this leads to the core existential question, doesn't it? If everything is impermanent, if everything is marked by some kind of suffering, where can you possibly find a true refuge? Is there anything at all that doesn't decay, that doesn't change, that you can actually count on? So after painting that pretty grim picture, the text finally starts offering the first step toward a solution. It says we need to find a true safe harbor, a real shelter from all the storms of life. And that shelter is known as the three jewels, or the three refuges. Think of it this way. The Buddha is the guide who's already made the journey. The Dharma is the map he left behind for us, the teachings themselves. And the Sangha, that's your crew, the community of people on the path with you, supporting you. The sutra is pretty blunt. Outside of these three, there's no real lasting safety to be found. So let's just zoom in on the Dharma for a second. This isn't just a single book or one simple idea. The text presents it as a complete system, a whole toolkit for understanding reality and totally transforming your mind. And the sutra has this really amazing metaphor to explain how the teachings progress. It compares it to refining dairy. So you start with the foundational sutras, which are like milk. Then that gets refined into discipline, which is like yogurt, and then into deep analysis, which is like butter. It gets even purer with the perfection of wisdom teachings. That's the ghee. And you finally arrive at the absolute core, the most potent form, which it calls supreme ghee. Each stage just gets more and more concentrated and powerful. Okay, so we've got a diagnosis and we've got a path. But let's be honest, this sounds like a demanding journey. What on earth could motivate someone to do all this? Well, the sutra answers that question with a really powerful story. It tells the story of a merchant. He sees his parents and his whole family suffering in terrible poverty, and it just breaks his heart. He feels this desperate, overwhelming need to do something about it. So he makes this heroic choice. He decides he's going to set out across a treacherous sea, facing pirates, storms, you name it, all to find this legendary wish-fulfilling jewel that can end his family's suffering for good. His entire motivation is just pure love for them. And here it is. This is the crucial point. The bodhisattva is just like this merchant, but with one absolutely radical difference. When a bodhisattva looks out at the world, they see all living beings, every human, every animal, everyone, as their family, and they're all drowning in that same sea of suffering. This incredible motivation has a name. It's called bodhicitta. It's this unshakable vow to attain enlightenment. But, and this is what makes it so different, the goal isn't your own personal peace. It's not about finding your own bliss. The entire reason to do it is to become fully capable of rescuing every other being from their suffering. It completely turns the idea of self-improvement on its head. So, with that incredible why firmly in place, the sutra then details the how. How do you actually train to make this kind of vow a reality? This is where we get into the practical side of things. The training is basically built around what are called the 6 perfections, or Pāramitās. You can think of this as the core curriculum for a bodhisattva. It's about cultivating radical generosity, flawless ethics, unshakable patience, joyful effort, deep concentration, and finally, profound wisdom. And just to give you an idea of the depth of this training, look at how the sutra talks about the very first perfection, giving. This quote is, well, it's absolutely shocking to hear today. It's describing a willingness to give not just your stuff, but your own body, without even a trace of anger or regret. Now, it's really, really important to get this. This is not a literal instruction for self-harm. That is not the point. It's more like a thought experiment, a mental training exercise, designed to completely destroy the deepest-seated selfishness in our minds. The goal is to cultivate a mind that is so profoundly generous that there is literally nothing, not even your own body, that you cling to more than the well-being of others. So what does all of this lead to? What is the final, ultimate promise that a bodhisattva makes to the world? What's the culmination of this entire incredible path? It's this, the vow to actually postpone your own final peace, your own entry into nirvana, to willingly stay right here in this world for as long as it takes, until every last being has been guided to liberation. It is the ultimate act of compassionate solidarity. So this ancient text really leaves us with a question that's just as powerful today as it was centuries ago. It asks us to radically expand our circle of concern, way beyond just our own family and friends, to see how interconnected we all are.